Dennis Schroder, NBA player Dennis Schroder. He also played for Germany, I believe. Has some thoughts about European basketball versus the NBA. This is where I'm going to start first, and then I'll continue with the rest in a moment. So let me pull that video up now. It's coming up.
European basketball, I think, is the more. I gotta be careful here. I think it's European basketball is no entertainment. It's straight IQ basketball, straight coaching, and really, really high IQ guys who know how to play the game. And I mean, Serbia, Greece, Spain, France, Germany. I mean, there's so many teams out there who knows how to play, who is athletic, and I think it's a lot of people from Europe in the NBA who make some noise. Slovenia with Luka Doncic, one of the best players in the world. Of course, I mean the USA is one of the best leagues in the world, or is the best league in the world. But European, they come in for sure.
All right, so he basically said that European basketball, it's a lot of high IQ guys. It's not a lot of entertainment. Before I get to the next part of my question, I just want to get your initial thoughts off of what Dennis Schroeder said. Do you agree or disagree with what he said? K Walk, I'm gonna start with you first.
Both, if I can do that. I agree and disagree at the same time because there are Europeans are known for their IQ and they have some athleticism. There are far few in between. He mentioned Luka Doncic and obviously Joker and those guys went beyond, but just to name a few, those guys are high IQ. But I think all great basketball players, just not just from an athletic standpoint, have an high IQ. Without question. I don't know if he was saying that they're smarter than the guys in the NBA. I know he's saying he was trying to be careful with what he wanted to say, so I don't think he was trying to say that. But I think what he was mostly trying to do was just promote the European players as opposed to, dismiss or disrespect the NBA or the American players. I don't think he was trying to do that, and I'm glad he said what he said. I got to be careful what I say because a lot of people want to hear one thing and turn it into something else. But yeah, I agree with them. The Europeans are coming. We see the gap has closed from with the time that we saw the Dream Team in 1992 to what took place this a couple weeks ago or last week. So yeah, I mean the gap is closing without question. But and nothing to take away from him. Again, I'm not saying that. I don't think he was saying that Europeans are smarter than the NBA players or more athletic. But I think what he was trying to say is that they are smart and they are just as athletic as they are smart, or vice versa, however you want to look at that. But yeah, I totally agree with him. But if he's trying to say that they're smarter and more athletic than the NBA, which I don't think he was, then I disagree with that.
Jay, so basically going off of what he said, what are your thoughts? And then as you know, of course, back in the 90s, you may have had a few players from the NBA that played European ball, but this year it's what the Olympics had over 60 players.
Yeah.
FIBA basketball that might even grow even more, or even potential NBA players. A lot of NBA players are coming from overseas. So what are your thoughts on what he was saying there?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Number one, I think he knew he was kind of walking on a fine line. That's why he said, I need to be careful here. And I think the only place where he may have gone wrong, Britt, was when he threw that part in about the NBA and more entertainment. Because when you say that, then it makes it sound like, even if you didn't mean it that way, it makes it sound like you're saying the NBA is more about entertainment. Over here in Europe, he said high IQ. He said straight coaching. He was trying to draw that line between, hey, over here, it's high IQ basketball and the coaches are coaching. And even though he didn't come out and say it, it looks like he said in NBA, it's more just about entertainment and maybe athleticism. And the only problem I have with it is anytime you make a blanket statement about anything, you're going to be wrong. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you there's people in the European League that are not high IQ basketball players. Everyone over there is not high IQ. Like, I'm
Right.
sure they have some really good coaching, some high
Mm-hmm.
IQ players, but we can find that same thing here in the NBA. There's plenty of high
Right.
IQ players. There's probably some guys that are not high IQ players. So I think the only place he went wrong was trying to make a blanket statement. He probably would have been better off just talking about the European League and not throwing that one line in about the NBA and entertainment. And I think it would have been a non-issue.
Yeah, I always think it's curious that when you're talking about one aspect of basketball or a whole different league, why do people always feel it's necessary to throw in the NBA? Sometimes you just don't need to, and I get it. The NBA is the best league in the entire world. You know, people strive to get there. European players strive to get to the NBA.
Right.
You know, because the lights are just brighter. It's that's if you want to be the best, you got to go up against the best, and they tend to be in the NBA. But I just feel like sometimes you could separate the two. You
Yeah.
know, if you're talking like you said, Jay, if you're talking about European basketball, just keep it on European basketball. Keep just talk about those players. You don't always need to talk about NBA and you know how we feel about the NBA players. And vice versa. Sometimes you're talking about the NBA, we don't always talk about European basketball.
Right.
There's no need to. It's okay to separate it. But there was one player that decided to respond, and I think you guys know what I'm referring to. Some people watching may know as well what I'm referring to, and that's the one and only Kevin Durant. He responded with the USA Team USA basketball. When after they won their gold medals, and at the top he said entertainment and IQ. Interesting. But then that didn't stop there. If you thought it stopped there, not yet, because Dennis Schroder, after seeing this, just had to respond. And I had the video, but unfortunately, I did not want to get copyrighted because there was music in the background. So I'm gonna read to you exactly what he said. This is what he said in his video. He said, "To be that type of a star," talking about Kevin Durant, "is say something to a person like me who didn't even mean it to be negative. Just what I see from both sides. I didn't appreciate it, not even appreciate it. I didn't care. To say that tells me how weak he is as a person. You know what I'm trying to say, or you know what I'm saying. It is what it is. Not everybody is strong. Not everybody is in a good place." So he actually called Kevin Durant weak as an individual, which was very interesting to me. But again, I want to get your thoughts on this, Jay. I'm going to come back to you first.
So first of all, I think for him to say he doesn't care isn't true. Because if he didn't care, why would you respond? So he definitely
Exactly.
cares. That's
Right.
number one. He cares. Now, to call KD weak, look, the thing about KD, whether you love him or you hate him, the one thing he has been very consistent about is
Well, see,
that if he feels like someone is saying something about him directly or indirectly, he is going to respond to that person on social media. Like, that's just been KD's brand for the last several years. So I think KD is on brand with his response. And for Schroeder, like saying, well, I didn't mean it in a certain way. Like, it really doesn't matter what your intent was. If KD took it that way and he wanted to respond, I think it's fine. I think that's who Kevin Durant is. Now, in terms of Kevin Durant being weak, I mean, I don't know. Like, if I'm KD, I mean, look, Dennis Schroder can't even carry KD's luggage to the plane. I mean, who cares what Dennis Schroder has to say? And I'm totally fine with KD's response. Like, if you're going to throw a little stone at the NBA,
Mm-hmm.
even if you say you didn't mean it, you have to expect somebody to say something. They weren't just going to let him get away with that. So I'm cool with what KD had to say.
Jay, you just said everything I was going to say. You know, you sat there at the beginning of your original press conference and you said, I have to be careful in the way I say this.
Right.
So that right now, that in itself, you understand that, you know, odds are I'm going to get a response out of somebody.
Yep.
Who is it going to be? It's out of somebody. It just so happened to be Kevin Durant. So you knew what your intentions was when you said what you had to say initially. And like you said, Jay, regardless of his intent, what matters is the impact. Your intent may be different than your impact. Unfortunately, that's just the way things go. So you either just leave the NBA out of it in general, which we all sat here and say he probably just should have did that. But when you threw that little nugget in about the NBA, you understood right then and there somebody's going to respond.
Yep.
And I agree with you, Jay. He absolutely cared. If you didn't care, you wouldn't have responded. You went out your own way off of a little, to me, a harmless tweet.
Right.
You said what you said wasn't meant to be negative. I'm pretty sure KD put his tweet out and that wasn't meant to be negative, but you took it you took it in a negative way based off your response. So you sat there, took the time out on your stream, uh,
Is it?
to respond. So clearly KD was owning some real estate up in that head of yours just a little bit. And KD being weak as an individual, to me, that's unnecessary and that's unfair. Right. I don't think anybody is weak as an individual. I think that was a little immature of Dennis Schroder to even go that far with it. And then he says, not everybody is strong. Not everybody is in a good place. How do you know what place he is in right now? Are you communicating with him on a constant basis? Is he telling you? Are you his therapist? Like, are you sitting in a chair? He's sitting in a lounge chair and you writing notes saying, well, how did that make you feel? I don't think so. So yeah. I think that was just real immature and childish of him. Now, I'm going to give Dennis Schroder a pass because, again, we don't hear a lot of these moments from him. But I was just a little like thrown aback because KD got rings. How many you got? KD gets paid. And you had the opportunity to get paid, but you messed that up, didn't you? If I can recall.
For IQ, right? I mean,
right. Exactly.
So much.
Right. You left some big money thinking you was going to get a bigger contract. I don't know if that was you or your agent, but that IQ came in big question. So you can't call somebody else weak without looking at yourself first. But K-Walk, what are your thoughts on this?
You know what? You guys said everything you had to say to defend KD. I'm gonna go the other way because I don't want to sound like an echo or a parrot. To repeat everything you guys have said. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to take Schroeder's side on this. I think there's a little bit. I think he used the wrong word, and I think weak. I think he meant to say, and you can see he has a strong accent, and English is probably not his first language. So I think maybe he wanted to use the word sensitive. KD, we've used that. And Jay, I think you used that and you referred to Ralph Tresvant.
Ralph Tresvant in him for sure.
I think that's exactly. I think that's what he wanted to say. I don't think he wanted to use the word weak. And you could tell he said, I got to be careful what I say. And because we all know KD can be sensitive. He has shown that he can be sensitive. He's had what was it called? Different accounts or dummy accounts. I don't know what they're called when
burner accounts.
Burner accounts. Thank you. Burner accounts. So that's when you said, he posted on his account. I said, is it his account? So, but we don't know. We just don't know. But no, I get where Schroeder's coming from. And he said the wrong thing. He used the wrong word, and you got to give him a pass for that, to use your term there, Britt, because I just think that there's a language barrier there for him. It's hard for him to decipher what word that he really wanted to use or what meaning. Weak is a tough word to use, but a tough word to throw at a grown man who's doing the things that KD is doing. Yeah. So that's why I said I don't think he meant the word. I know he used the word weak, but I think he meant the word sensitive. And I'm just going to take a side with him just a little bit there on that. But, you can't allow that to happen. And I get it, KD. He's firing back. And like you mentioned, Britt, somebody was going to do it. We didn't know who it was, but it was just a matter of time because that's just the world we live in. Whatever you say and you say it on a high platform and it gets around and you're talking about like a huge league like the NBA, someone's going to fire back. But I just think that he used the wrong word there. But I'm going to just stick with Schroeder on this one. I think he's just misused the word, but sensitive. KD can probably agree to that. He probably still would probably fire back on him in that regards. KD hasn't come back since he said week, right? KD hasn't responded to that, but it's coming. It's coming.
It was a couple days ago he said this.
It's coming. He's coming. But yeah, I'm just going to side with Schroeder on a little bit on this side just a little bit, guys.
K Walk, it's like I'm with you because I do feel like maybe he did mean sensitive, and I do think Kevin Durant is very sensitive.
Yeah.
We all know this, probably a little too sensitive
Hmm.
at times, especially being, I understand on the level that you are, you gotta have some tough skin.
Yeah.
But every little nugget gets to KD. But I don't know if I could use the lingers barrier excuse. And I
I
say
don't
this
know,
because
Britt. I was
he's
coming
been
to face.
he's
I'm
been
aware
in
right
the
now.
he's right, I know. He's been here for a lot of years now. So he should be very well versed on the slang, on the language here, especially being probably hanging out with the other NBA guys, living here for long periods of time. So I don't know if I could give him that, but maybe you are right. Maybe he meant to say sensitive versus weak. But right now, I can only go with what the brother said. And the brother said
That's
KD
what it
was
is.
pure weak.
Yeah.
And maybe he is weak as far as strength wise. We've seen KD
I
get
was
out
thinking that when I
muscled.
first. Yeah.
We see KD get out muscled in the playoffs. So maybe he is strength wise, but I just think I just feel like him as a individual, as a person, I just don't think he's weak in that aspect. And I
No,
think
I don't.
Dennis
I agree.
Schroder,
Yeah.
if that's not what he meant, then he needs to come back out and say, you know what, guys, I used the wrong word. I meant
Yeah.
to say it this way, or just, just apologize. I shouldn't have taken it this far and
Yeah.
attacking him as an individual, because I don't think KD attacked Dennis Schroder. He may
Right.
have attacked what he said,
Yeah.
but he didn't attack him. Dennis Schroder attacked, went after KD, and KD's probably like, wait a minute, don't come for me if I didn't send for you. And that's what he did. So I think that's where the things go wrong. But Dennis Schroder, like I said, I'll give you a pass for this one because you don't say much. But
Right.
next time, just
And
just just watch what you say.
right. And I don't think he ever mentioned that the NBA didn't have IQ. I didn't catch that
Mhm.
if he did say that. So that's another reason why you kind of ask yourself about KD. Like, come on, he never disrespected the NBA. He just simply was just trying to promote the European League, and that's what KD said. Oh, IQ entertainment. Like we get it. He didn't say that you didn't have IQ
Mhm.
or NBA didn't have IQ. So
That brings me to another question, guys. In there, he did say that the European, and I know some of us don't may not watch a lot of the European guys, but so much, or what we can see. So I guess maybe base it off the FIBA. They do it every couple years or so. The Olympics is every 4 years. Um, do you feel like, because he did say there's no entertainment in the European basketball? Do you guys agree with that aspect of it?
I don't. I mean, what is sports? I mean, there's a certain aspect of sport that is entertaining. And watching some
Mhm.
of those games in the Olympics, I mean, I didn't feel like I was watching some
yeah,
high brow, super high IQ level of basketball being executed that when
Mhm.
you're looking at it, you're like, oh
Princeton.
wow, like this team is so smart, and these other guys are like, you couldn't really tell the difference. Like, do they
Right.
play a different style of basketball? Yes. Are they much more familiar with each other because they've been playing together forever? Yes. But they didn't strike me as some super sophisticated system that they were running that was just so high IQ. Like I
Mhm.
could not see that from the television. So I felt like their brand of basketball was entertaining and wasn't, I think there's definitely some level of entertainment to European basketball.
Yeah, I do too. I think there is. I like how physical they can be at times.
Yeah.
I feel like their physicality somehow, some way surpassed the NBA. And we seen that. Call me out if you want to, but I just think the NBA somehow became soft. And I agree with you, Jay. I don't think it was anything super. You may have, like you said earlier, you may have certain players that have
For
high
sure.
IQ,
Yeah.
and those probably tend more to be the playmakers on their teams. But overall, to me, it was an entertaining league. They dunk just as much as we do. They may not have like the Kyrie Irving type of game, but how many players in the NBA have that type of game?
Exactly.
Facts.
He does, right? There's really
Mhm.
nobody else outside of Kyrie Irving that plays like that. So I find it pretty entertaining. K Walk, what are your thoughts?
As far as the league being,
No,
I'm sorry.
no entertainment in the
Oh,
European
in the
basketball.
European League. I'm sorry. I thought I
Mhm.
answered all the questions. Yeah. I mean, I never, I don't get to really get to see the European League, as much as as like you mentioned FIBA or the Olympics. There's no leagues out there, or there's no station or anything like out there, and I wouldn't watch it until we get the WNBA right. But
Mhm.
nonetheless, no, I just don't see enough of it. We just see these guys, the before mentioned guys, the Lucas, the Jokic, the Wembiamas, and things of that nature. So no, I mean entertainment. I think if there was a lot of entertainment in there, they would find a way to get it broadcast, and we would see more of it. But yeah, I don't. I'm not saying there's no entertainment over there. Obviously, there is because
Mhm.
these guys are coming to the league. Maybe they're not as much as in it. There's obviously not as much entertainment as it is over here, but there is some. But I think the guys that are most entertaining are starting to transfer to the NBA. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, so
Yeah.
there's some there, some.
Yeah. Prime example, Wimby.
Yeah,
He's one of the
yeah.
most entertaining guys
Hmm.
that came over. So, all right. Any final thoughts on what Dennis Schroder or KD said in this unnecessary nonsense?
No, I think we covered that one pretty well.